You flip the. Oh, we're live.
Yep.
Hi, we're live now.
Yeah. Hi, guys. Got
Hi.
Rosemary, Mark. Hey, Purple. Menville, are you blue? Is Menville blue, babe?
Yep.
Okay, good. Okay, we have, of course, Mr. Cher, but tonight I have Cecelia, and she, her channel is wife, wife of a lifer. Babe, can you put her channel link in the chat?
My channel is actually Design Conviction, like the logo here. That's my channel.
Okay,
Oh,
I'll
right.
I'll
I'm
find it.
thinking your
My
Twitter.
yes, my Twitter
Can
and
we put your
Instagram and
Twitter in there
Facebook.
too? Can we put her Twitter and Instagram in there, or doesn't YouTube let you?
I'm not too sure. I'll do her YouTube here.
Okay. Hey, Beth. Hey, Foxy Lady. Okay. Cecelia,
Yes.
my first question for you
Okay.
is actually, I'm going to change my first question for you. First, tell us how you met Taylor. How did you meet him?
Okay, so let me just give a little bit of background. So my husband has been in prison for 15 years. He was incarcerated and serving life without the possibility of parole since 2005. He was 20 at that time. And how I ended up meeting him. So 5 years ago, I was really into the true crime shows, criminal mind kind of stuff. So I was watching a
Okay.
lot of documentaries, try to understand, like, in my naive way of thinking, I wanted to understand the criminal mind. So I was watching this documentary, and they were talking about this serial killer or something. Anyways, and during the documentary, they mentioned something about the existence of pen pal websites for inmates. Like in my life, I have never imagined that people in prison will be looking for friends to write them. I don't know why I never thought about it, but it was the first time I heard about it. So my curiosity took me to this pen pal website. And then I started browsing around. I found him. He's my same age. Um, I saw that he was serving life. A lot of people had asked me, like, hey, how you knew he was innocent or wrongly convicted? And that moment I didn't care. I was like, I saw that he had been incarcerated for 15 years, well, 10 years in that moment, that he was 20 at that time. And I put myself in his shoes and say, maybe myself in a different life, with different people, with different circumstances, this person could be me, and I would want somebody to be there as support. And
Right.
that made me write him. And that's how everything started 5 years ago. Crazy, right?
Yeah, it is. Well, I can kind of relate, but it's because I think we have empathy for all humans, and that's what they are behind bars, right? It's humans. They're actually humans in there that have feelings, most of them.
Yeah.
And I like the other thing I always hear too, I'm sure you hear it too, is, oh, the prisons are just full of innocent people, aren't they? Like, you're crazy. Like, what is wrong with you? They don't just put away innocent people or people on wrong charges. They get them right the first time.
Yeah,
They deserve to
sure.
be where they are. But like you said, he was only 20.
Yeah.
And
Yes. Hmm.
what can you tell us about his charges, what he is incarcerated for?
Okay, so of course, before writing to him, it wasn't my concern about him being guilty or not or only convicted. I didn't even want to ask me that question.
Right.
What I definitely did, I researched about what happened because, of course, I think at that moment I have more limits. Now I'm more open to see people as people. But at the time, I think I was just still in the point in which I wasn't sure what is gonna be acceptable or not for me. So the crime had to do with drugs. The person that got killed was a drug dealer, and it was something related with a burglary. So two folks went there during the burglary. The drug killer got killed, and that was the crime. And he was 20 at that time.
Ugh.
So he's serving life because he got guilty. He was found guilty even though he's not. Or premeditated to like actually planning go and kill a drug dealer. Like if
Yeah.
he actually, yeah.
Is it because, and if you can't answer it, just say you can't answer it, but are they trying to say it was premeditated because he went, or whoever was there, went there with a weapon, with a,
Well,
is it considered premeditated because they went there with the weapon?
basically what happened is his co-defendant was the first and only person that was first identified. Like there was two folks. One of them removed his mask, so they were witness so the co-defendant. So the co-defendant, he was in jail waiting for trial 2 years because he was scared, and they got keep postponing his trial. And the co-defendant got a deal. So the co-defendant plead guilty and got 20 years, and in exchange he told his story where he made up an entire situation in which my husband was the person actually committed the thing, and the prosecutor, because I don't know, he was set up to fail. The prosecutor basically, in the jury instructions, it wasn't really clear what it means to be premeditated or not premeditated at the time. I think in the jury instructions, premeditation could take a decision of 3 seconds. Premeditation for them wasn't going one day before and planning that situation. Premeditation is like, in the moment I thought about it and I did it. And that was premeditated. So, and that's why he's serving life.
Didn't the co-defendant change his story too, like right before?
No, the co-defendant got the deal, got his 20 years, he didn't have a trial, and then the co-defendant actually went to his trial. But the prosecutor was very smart. When the co-defendant went and gave his testimony, the jury wasn't there, it wasn't present. And I have the video of the entire thing, so I can even show you the video. So the jury wasn't present, the co-defendant wanted to say, hey, Taylor didn't do it, I lied. And the prosecutor said, oh, you're lying now. So basically what the prosecutor decided to say, hey, you told me the truth right before, now you're lying, so now what you're telling me is no longer, I cannot trust you.
Yeah. Yep. Oh. Yeah, I hate that.
Yes, it's like, it's really, really, really messed up. Like, there's one point that my husband, even people that are inside with him had done worse crimes, wonder why he's serving life. Because say, hey, you know, I killed 2 people, I'm serving 4 years, and you're here for life. It is. I feel that it depends who is your prosecutor, and who was killed, and what the juror, like the judge, wanted to give you. It's like it's very into the decision of the prosecutor has a lot of power, and depends where you live is how you end up being sentenced.
Right. Oh. Yeah. And Washington has no parole, right?
No, they got rid of parole, I think, in the beginning of the 90s. I think yes, and they have been trying to push legislation for that, but there's a lot of resistance. That's why when we came with the idea of the social enterprise design conviction, my point is, of course, I love to get a hold of advocates and people that support what we're doing, but I'm trying to also change the mindset of like the narrative of people that are in prison. So the idea is also to reach people that are not that who was me before, like me 5 years ago, before even I knew Taylor. I have a totally different idea of what was prison, what were the inmates. I thought the sentence were fair, but what we're trying to do is open the eyes and make awareness, because it's just.
Well, you said something in one of your videos that I love, which is you don't realize how broken and fucked up that the so-called justice system is and how incarceration works unless you're personally involved in it. Then, like, I didn't know until like maybe 10 years ago, even though my dad's been incarcerated almost all my life. But I was little when it happened. I still didn't know, still didn't care, didn't help him. He was where he belonged. didn't even think anything of it. But then I met another girl in the same prison that my dad was in, and just started writing her because my dad's like, well, telling me how they look forward even just to letters, just to any kind of human contact or interaction that they can have to help just pass the time in there. Otherwise, you're like caged rats in there. It's I don't know, learning more about it. I think the prison system is a joke. I think some people should actually be in mental hospitals instead of in prison.
Okay.
Like the biggest thing is let's just throw them in prison. Well, and then it's years before these people even get mental evaluations too. Like in a lot of cases that I worked, they'll be in prison for 2-3 years before they're even okay to get a mental evaluation. That should be done within 72 hours of booking.
I think everybody that gets into jail, especially
Should
for
have a
like
mental evaluation.
high-profile crimes, I don't believe in monsters. They're not monsters. They're just people with mental issues.
Yeah.
Either
right.
like something that is in their brains that is very hard to treat, or it could be even addictions to drugs or substance or whatever. It's like everybody should just be evaluated, but fairly, of course, based on science, not based on another messed up system to screw people up.
Right.
Because it's how it seems. Everything they put in place, everything that they put in place is just saying that it's just to screw them more over, to make sure they stay there. Like my husband, he hasn't gotten out of prison, but I have heard a lot of people, especially we have a podcast called Life of Lifer, so we follow people that have been out, and it's so difficult to readapt into a society that is not ready for you. You have a lot of obstacles. They charge you money for everything, and nobody wants to hire you. So.
Right. Well, that's another thing we were talking about too is, well, we know, maybe most people know, it's a choice in prison too if you want to make something of yourself, right? Or it's easy to do drugs in there and just not give a crap and just do nothing and just be in prison and just be a bag of bones, basically. Or you can still be a very bad person in prison and get into a lot of trouble. And what I like about Taylor is that he's doing everything but that, and actually trying to, even though he's in there for life, he's still trying to better himself and do something with his life. Do you want to talk about that and everything that he has? I know you guys have the podcast. I know he's done awesome artwork. He builds bears for kids.
Yes.
He does a lot of things to better himself while he's in there, knowing that he has a life sentence, right?
Yes, he wants to make his life count. Like, of course, our goal is to get him out. Like, I'm not gonna lie to you, we want that, right?
Right.
However, he feels that if it doesn't happen, at least he wants to be able to do something meaningful. So, oh my God.
I think that shows something about him that says a lot about him, honestly. Because you see a lot of inmates are just in there, they don't care they're in prison. Like my dad, he preferred to be in prison. He'll do anything bad just to stay in prison. He doesn't care.
Yes, yes, exactly. And I think it's because not everybody has within themselves the drive to do something. Like even here, there's a different type of people. There's people that have access to a lot of tools and decide to keep their lives in certain ways. And there's people that take those tools and take it to the next level. So Taylor is that kind of person that whatever he has in front of him, he takes it and tries to do something with it. So he has a lot of drive. And that's one of the reasons why I fell in love with him. Like I could have fell in love with him. He wasn't doing this. He wasn't so passionate about it. He wasn't doing so much good,
Right. And he trains dogs too, right?
Yeah. He does artwork, he does bears, he does good in art. So basically he burns in good, and he does morals. He writes songs, books, songs, whatever you put in front of him. He even is the president of Toastmaster Club inside, so he also is a public speaker now. That's why he's so good in the podcast. Yeah. Yeah. So
He's doing great.
yeah.
You've
Yeah.
been doing a great job too. I see you out there, and Michelle says, is there no programs for released people to help get them back into society? That's what we were talking about earlier too, and it depends on where you are, because like in British Columbia and Kamloops, no, there's definitely people walking around. They get overpopulated very quickly and they let people out. Like my dad shouldn't have been let out the first time after 14 years. And there's real bad people I know around British Columbia that should not be walking around, but it's because the prison is crap there. But then there's other places where, they don't. Some places do though.
Yeah.
What about in Washington where Taylor is incarcerated? What is it like there?
Is very difficult. Like Taylor serving life. There's a lot of lifers, and also there are a lot of people that serving like horrendous amount of time for no violent crimes too. So and there's no parole. So it's like it doesn't matter if the person is already doing well. It doesn't matter if it's not a threat to society. It doesn't matter. Like nothing matters. They have to stay and serve all the amount of time. So it's just Washington definitely needs a lot of reform. Mhm.
So you would agree it's everywhere, at least like Florida, I know, Texas, I know, British
Yeah.
Columbia, I know, now Washington, I'm hearing, New York. So I would say it's everywhere needs major help in this.
Yes, even Massachusetts. I have a friend who has a son in Massachusetts, first time offender, also a murder, but he's also serving life, and they don't have parole in Massachusetts either. So yes.
Oh. And what do you think? Do you think, like we talked about my dad a little bit, if people are in prison and they say, like, I'm better off in prison, I just want to stay in prison. Do you think those people should be kept in prison or let free, or would you still, like, maybe just have them permanently in like a mental hospital or something?
We go back to science. So if your dad or the person doesn't feel that he wants to get out, probably it's for a reason, right? So it's one, this person doesn't feel ready or prepared or the system. Like when you have, what I have heard a lot is when you spend all your life in prison, you get out and you're expecting somebody to tell you what to do, to feed you, to do a lot of stuff for you. So they get out, it's a shock for them. They don't know what to do. They get angry really easily. They're not able to keep their relationships. They have a lot of issues. So that's one of the issues. One of the reasons why people like to go back to prison is because they don't have to deal with that. That's one point. The second point is if they have a mental issue and a mental illness, sorry. And the problem is we should not put in prison somebody who has a mental illness. That person should go to a mental hospital, be evaluated and treated. I don't think it's fair, not even for serial killers, and I know it sounds weird, not even for serial killers that actually what it have is they have a serious mental illness that are in a condition that is even dangerous for the other inmates, and it's going against the human rights to treat it that way. They should be evaluated and put in an institution where they can actually be having care and have a meaningful life, even if that means having a mental illness that cannot be treated, even if that means that they have to stay there forever. But there's different ways of making their lives meaningful, right? There are many ways how you can make somebody's life meaningful. But right now they just put it in a warehouse, not caring about them, trying to forget about them, and basically torturing them with a situation in which they are always hungry for attention or hungry for some care from somebody, right? Nobody really cares about them. So I just feel that it's totally inhumane. It's not humane the way that we're treating them.
Right. Oh, we have Sylvia here. I'm going to have her join in.
Hi, Sylvia.
Hey, how are you?
Beautiful.
Good.
Hi, nice to meet you guys.
Hi.
Do you have any questions so far for Cecelia?
I don't, to be honest with you, I was having issues trying to kind of figure out how to get this going. It's my first time on here. But I think I'm on okay. I can see you guys and hear you guys.
I can
Oh,
see you
great.
too. Yep.
Cool.
Yay, thanks for coming up, Sylvia. I'm glad you reached out and you were willing to share your story too.
Yeah, thank you so much for inviting me.
So it's your brother, right? That's in prison?
Yes. My brother's in prison. He was sentenced in early 2018. And he never had a criminal record or anything. So it was a huge shock to our family. I guess a little backstory is my father passed away in 2014 of cancer. And it seemed like after my father died, he was a big rock in our family. And, a lot of things changed. And my brother got into some dark things that we were unaware of. And then, excuse me, his arrest came, as a huge surprise to all of us. And he got sentenced for 10 years in early 2018. And it's been really hard on our family, especially since we've always been kind of like a very private family. I never talk about this to anybody really, but my husband. So yeah, I mean, it's been really hard because I don't agree or condone the things that he's done. But, it's just, yeah, it's been really hard. And just trying to be there for my mom. She's had a lot of anxiety about it. And, everything where we live in Florida, everything's public record. So you can look up anybody. I'm not sure how it is in the states that you guys live, but you can, search a name and find everything out about everybody. And I think just a stigma that goes about having a family member in prison, of course affects you. And just people always judge. And yeah, it's just been really hard for all of us. So
That's something Cecelia, and I were talking about too. You get judged because you have empathy and you're talking to him. So like even my dad, when I was little, I'd get in so much shit from everyone because I still loved him. That was my dad. And they were like, well, he's a bad man. So even through being in the foster care system, you'd have these foster parents just trying to tell you like what a bad parent he is. Like he's bad. He's in prison where bad people go, and I don't know.
yeah.
I don't like people that think like that, honestly, because even in one case I was working on, I didn't realize that 60% of the women who are in prison are actually battered women. They come from abuse. 60%
Wow.
of women in prison come from abuse.
Wow.
And so it makes me question if they should even be in prison, because being abused, obviously, it does change you mentally. So again, that's more of a mental issue that should be worked on with the female instead of just throwing them in prison right away.
Well, yeah, no, I agree. It's really sad. Yeah. I know, Cecelia, I checked out one of your videos about your husband. I was trying to listen to the beginning of the live stream, but I wasn't able to since I had to be backstage and you can't listen at the same time. But it was great. It was really cool that I saw that you do Spanish live streams also, which was really cool.
Yeah. Yeah, I do.
That's cool. My parents are actually from Ecuador.
Okay.
Yeah. So I speak Spanish and English also. So that was great. And I know, Cher, you mostly do for like wrongfully accused criminals, correct?
Yeah, I mean, I try to see other sides of all cases, but I definitely get more involved if I see that it's like for sure wrongful things like wrongful charges or just straight up innocent people that don't belong there. But I also like to look at the mental health of the situation also, because one thing that Cecelia does fight for is mass incarceration. And like, again, I don't think the answer is prison for everybody that's in there.
No.
Right, I agree.
Do you have any questions, babe, for these ladies?
I did want to ask Cecilia.
Mhm.
Let's say that you get a miracle and your husband's released.
Uh-huh.
What do you think your next 5 years would look like?
Probably I will have him to help me with this social enterprise that you see in the background. It's a lot of work. And he's very passionate about that too. I will support him in what he wants to do is actually prevent more kids to end up like him. So how I see is taking this growing faster because I will have him to help me. Right now I have some help, but definitely having him out would help me a lot to grow and be able to reach more people.
Tell us more about design conviction.
Well, Taylor is a very ambitious person. So I think his ambition and his drive is what actually drives the entire situation. So we have the YouTube channel, we have the podcast, we have my TV show in the YouTube channel, we have a magazine, we have music, we have different stuff. But one of the things that you can see here, you see a lot of artwork. Let me show you. All this artwork. Oh. All this artwork is done by inmates from different parts of the country, right? And I have even more. It has to do with my magazine. So art changed my husband's life. So when he was in there in the cell, feeling like lonely, like in his first years, he wanted to do something that would be meaningful and kind of be able to reach his loved ones, let's say, being able to give something to his mother. So he learned how to draw. And then he took that and become a really, really good artist. Like, I'm very proud of his skills. So the idea with the magazine that we have is we are trying to promote positive change. And one of the things that is positive is artwork, right? So, so we are trying to, so part of the magazine, part of thing is actually inviting inmates to submit their artworks and to promote their artwork. And the other part of how we promote them is through the podcast Life of a Lifer. So I don't know if you have any chance or if you have a chance after this video to go and look for us. We're in Apple and iTunes and Spotify and YouTube, Life of a Lifer podcast, and we're basically share stories of people that are currently incarcerated or people that are out and what they're doing with their time.
I seen you had an interview with two of my favorite people, actually. JC, who's another YouTuber, Wrong to Strong.
Yes, JC,
He's
of
awesome.
course.
Yeah, he's great. Worked with the cartel and did a lot of prison time. Yeah. And then one of my favorites from TLC show, actually, Lizzie, who I've chatted with her a little bit myself too. So I saw your interview with her.
Yeah.
Actually, I saw why Taylor got started really with the artwork was because he wanted to give his loved ones a gift. He wanted to be able to give you guys something.
Yeah.
And I thought that was very sweet.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and the thing here is Taylor is not an exception. Like every time that everybody praise Taylor, what I want, the message I want to say is Taylor is not an exception. There's more Taylors out there, and we're trying to find them because some of these Taylors, they don't have anybody. So the idea is to find those Taylors and inspire them to keep doing what they're doing and trying to even find somebody that could support them. So that's why we promote them in our social media. We also promoting the magazine, and we're trying to promote people, and that's what we are doing, and in many different ways, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Did you was Taylor the first inmate you ever reached out to?
The first and the only one, actually.
First and last? Okay.
Yeah. And it's because I care, and I'm a very empathic person. So don't get me wrong, I get correspondence from different inmates because of what we're doing. And
Right.
most of the times I wanted to write them. Like, I want to write Jesse, I want to write Brittany, I want to write all these folks. And the thing here is I'm so empathic that either I do this for them or I write them.
It's when people like us reach out and we start helping one person, the word gets around very quickly, doesn't it? And then everyone's reaching out.
Yes.
It's like a quick game, telephone. It's crazy.
And it's not that I don't want to do it, but I will care so much that I will be really concerned about doing that, and probably I wouldn't have energy to do everything else that I feel is also important, because it's not about me, they receiving a letter from me, it's about they being exposed to more people, and they being an example of change that could eventually change people's mind, right? Like, if after this video, somebody that was questioning about why somebody is in prison deserves a second chance, if that person right now is doubting and is going to do some research, and I may be able to change one mind, I think I'm really doing something for them, right?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I agree.
Nice.
Mhm.
Sylvia,
Yes.
did you say, do you visit your brother? Have you have contact with him and everything?
Yes, I do. My mom talks to him. Well, she was talking to him every day. Now they're doing, well, you know what? They did every other day, but since COVID, they changed the rules in the prison that he's in, and they let all the prisoners make phone calls every day, but now they have like a time limit on them. Like, since that's been going on, and so everything's been on lockdown, so they can't have any visitors there. At all, I guess, until things get back to normal, which it seems like things are kind of starting to loosen up here in our state, but we still have restrictions going on. I know other states are still on a big lockdown, it seems like.
Yeah, it's starting to pick up again. I know Texas went back on lockdown. New York, I've got a buddy that's been trying to get his case expunged, and clear his name, and they keep pushing that out. And yeah,
everything's been delayed because of it. Just, I know here they closed down like our courthouses and everything, so hopefully everything starts to get back to normal.
Cecelia, did you say how you came across it? You said you just so you went out. Is it on one of the popular inmate websites that we all know about?
No, it's one that I think is no longer popular. It's not a popular one. Do you want me to tell it to you?
Yes, please. Was it Meta Inmate?
No, it was inmate.com.
Okay.
You got right now, there's barely any profile, but that time, 5 years ago, that was, I guess, one of the best. Of course, things have changed, but no, it's not one of the populars.
Okay, I was curious.
I didn't even know that was a thing, but
exactly. That was me. That was me 5 years ago. I was like, what? What? Really?
Yeah.
Well, Dana426 had some questions, wondering if inmates have access to email, or do they get tablets or something so they can have internet access?
Should I answer?
Yes.
Okay, so they have access to tablets or computers, depends the place. But the internet that they have is not like our internet. It's basically just they are able to receive emails, that's all. And emails that are from JPay or any of those companies, not like the email that we have. So it's quite close. They don't have access to Wikipedia, YouTube, or anything.
Yeah, I know the prison that my brother's at in Florida, they do not have access to emails or tablets or anything like that. They do have access to libraries. You can, send books or send magazine subscriptions to them and just letters. But that's cool that they have access to emails.
Right. So I know in Texas you have to buy the tablets on your commissary. You buy the tablets or whatever.
That's cool.
And you have to, JPay, is it the same in Florida than in Washington? I think I pay 50 cents or something, a stamp or something like that. I can't remember.
I think it depends each state. So, answering your question, Sylvia, yes, my husband is incarcerated here in Washington State, and he has
Okay.
access to tablet. But I know that in Florida, I know they have some crazy rules that I don't know. I think Florida is the
Mhm.
worst, one of the worst states to be incarcerated at. That's what I have heard.
Mm.
And I'm sorry for that because
Yeah, well, it makes it a lot harder. And I know that they also, and I'm not sure if you've experienced it or how long your husband has been in prison, because I missed the beginning of the live stream. But I know that they can move them at any time. And, they don't let anybody know, which has happened to my brother a couple times, which is terrible because you just kind of stop hearing from, your loved one, and
yeah.
you don't, it could be days or weeks, or sometimes I know that they do punish them and they don't get to make phone calls, so it's just scary because you don't know what's
Mhm.
going on. um
Mm.
and
Yeah,
yeah, I think that's one of the worst things is
no,
that
no.
you get so used to being able to communicate with anybody at any time, and things remind you of people constantly, and you want to send them something, and it's just, yeah, it's so bizarre. I was telling my husband, and I always tell him, it's like mourning it's like mourning somebody who is still alive, because
Right.
Yeah,
they're not part of your life
that's what they
as
do.
much as they were. My brother and I were very, very close, and I mean, you still are, but it's just different. I had a daughter while he was in incarceration, and yeah, just knowing that he's not going to be part of her life is, I mean, it's terrible. It's been just hard for everybody, but just that, like, how do you tell your child that as they grow up? And yeah, it definitely makes things a lot harder, you know and I guess we all just kind of try to be strong for him, and just really for my mom more than anything. I know it's been really, really, really hard on her.
Mm.
I'm sure. I'm
Yeah.
sure.
That's like what I've been saying, Sylvia, with Chris Watts, that people are so nasty with Cindy and Ronnie, but it's like that I said the exact same thing. They're mourning their son. They lost their son too.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
yes, the other family was murdered and they died, but they also lost their son too. They don't get to hug him anymore or see them or even talk to him whenever they want or whatever.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I caught the phone calls last night that CDT was broadcasting of the Chris Watts in their family, the conversations. And I think I've heard some of them, like, here and there, but it made me really sad. It made me sad to, I guess, just all of it. That case is crazy. It's definitely,
You
like,
know what,
it engrossed me from the
Cecelia?
beginning.
How would you feel if you and your husband were having like private conversations in prison and somebody leaked those calls between you and him? Would you how would that make you feel?
If somebody listen to my conversations,
Yeah, leaked your conversations between you and your husband in prison and leaked them. Say he was a high profile case, your husband,
hmm
and you had private conversations with him and somehow somebody on the inside there leaked them all over social media and stuff.
I will be upset. I'm probably suing somebody
Yeah. Damn right.
for a lot of money.
Yeah, damn right.
Because it will be it's against him, but also against me. Like they could say whatever about recording or whatever, but if it affect my personal relationship, I will be suing. Definitely suing.
Right.
Uh, that's not definitely not okay. Because I know, like, oral calls, everything, all communication I have with my husband, especially on the phone, I know that somebody's hearing because they monitor
Right.
calls. But one thing, knowing that somebody's monitoring, and another thing is somebody taking advantage of that, and like basically abusing that power,
Yeah.
which I would not be surprised that a lot of people in there that are in there just because they like to abuse power. Like a lot of
Mhm.
people should not be in a Cabo Garden in person. They are just because they like to abuse power. That's how I feel.
Right.
So I would be definitely very upset, but probably suing.
Did you watch the show, ladies, 60 Days In?
Honestly, since I met my husband, I don't like to watch those type of shows, and it's not because I don't care, and it's because I care. I feel it really real to me. Like I feel really
Yeah.
close. Like, as I say, I'm a very empathic person. So now that I have been there, not inside, but knowing people in there, getting to
Mhm.
know other stuff, and realizing they're humans, I can no longer see it as fiction. It's really real for me, so I cannot do it. I cannot do it.
Right. I
Mm,
totally understand that.
Yeah. Just like the calls last night for the Chris Watts. Were those leaked or did they release those purposely?
Yeah, I think that's wrong. Again, it brings me to like you and your brother Cecelia and her husband and like Chris Watts and his parents and even his little sister, Jamie.
Mm-hmm.
All the family members involved. Like people need to remember there's other humans and feelings that are all behind, not just the person that's incarcerated. Like Chris Watts, if that's where people, if they think he got what he deserved and that's where he is, that's fine. But there's other people that are connected. He has a mom, he has a dad, he has a sister, he has nieces, he has nephews, you know what I'm saying? And it does mentally affect all of these people too. It's more than just the person that's incarcerated.
Yeah,
And
and
that's what everybody forgets when they're doing all this other bullshit with the high profile cases online and stuff. They forget there's other humans and feelings involved, more than just the person that's paying the price.
Yeah, and I
Like,
saw a lot of people comment that also on there. I mean, there were a lot of people that were, they were saying how they were disgusted with the way Cindy was talking to Chris, and all of these things. Like they couldn't believe it, but I know that those are the same things that my mom says to my brother. I know my brother didn't do what Chris Watts did, but still, it you can see she clearly loves her son unconditionally, and it was I'm very empathetic, and my heart went out to the family. It's a terrible situation for everybody involved, but I can empathize with how they feel, and maybe people think I'm crazy for that, but it really it made me sad for them. It was really hard to listen to those conversations. I'm a mom, and I love my children. I would do anything for them, and I may not condone something terrible that they've done, but you always love them.
right. You wouldn't be able to just turn off that's your
Absolutely.
child, like that's your son, that's your daughter.
Right, absolutely not.
And you shouldn't be judged or anything or looked down upon because you still have that relationship. Like I don't know, Cecelia, I'm sure you hear a lot too.
Yeah.
Yeah. And my point of view is like, yes, there's a lot of hate, a lot of people that see criminals that deserve to be punished and all this stuff. This guy, whoever's already in prison, they're already serving their time. They're already doing what is supposed to be happening. Why do you want to punish it more? Like I feel that it's just I feel there's a lot of revenge or wanted to punish. Like I don't see it doesn't make sense to me. Like people should stop hating. We should start healing people instead of hating and creating
Right.
all this thing. Yeah.
Cecelia, I want to ask you specifically because they say that, well, and even Sylvia, I guess they say anyone that wants a connection with a loved one, but specifically someone who falls in love with an inmate. They say that those people are mentally unstable. What do you have to say about that?
Do I see it unstable? Do I look unstable right
Yeah,
now?
they think like people like us are mentally unstable because we can love somebody that's in prison.
Now, I will say that I don't like to talk nicely about me, but I feel that I have empathy, that I have the ability to look further. As I say, when I grow him, I wasn't giving me I wasn't trying to convince myself that he was innocent. There are a lot of people that write to inmates thinking they have found the next innocent person to defend. I wasn't thinking about that. I wanted to connect with a person. For me, my decision of having this was to connect with a person because I will want somebody. If I were in that situation, I would want somebody to be open to connect with me. That was my logic. And once I got to know him, I got to see everything that what he was doing, and I just realized that he's just another person. Like, yes, I had to be honest. It was very difficult for me to decide to marry him. Okay, what is going on with that? It was very difficult for me to make that decision, but when I made my decision and say, I had to be here for him. Doesn't matter where he's at. It's like it would be very selfish of me to basically not support him just because of his situation in general. I don't know who's Shirley.
Yeah, she's in the chat. She says she couldn't stop loving her child if, God forbid, they did something wrong. The love doesn't just stop.
Exactly, and I know probably people could think, and the most interesting fact for me is when I decided to marry him. I was expecting to receive a lot of rejection from people, especially for that. But in the other side, I have received a lot of support. So I feel very lucky, actually, for that. Does that make sense? As Mr. Chair, I see it made you think right now.
Yeah, deep in thought. No, I kind of get it, and I kind of don't.
Yeah.
But I mean, humans are humans. Like some people make mistakes, and they're paying the price for it. So, do they deserve to be kept away from the opportunity to find love? No. So, I mean, I get it. But it's just, I mean, for someone who's like someone like you, the thing that I don't understand is, I mean, to give up the possibility of having any kind of like to have someone to come home to at the end of the day, someone to go to the movies with and things like that. It seems like a massive sacrifice.
You hear that a lot, right?
Yeah.
I bet, yeah.
Yeah.
I bet you
Yeah,
do.
and the thing here is, yes, I give up something, but I get something in return. Like it's like I when I decided to marry him, as I say, it wasn't easy. It wasn't something I say, yes, I'm gonna do it. I don't care. I really spent a lot of months thinking about it because it wasn't a easy decision. But I saw, okay, I'm not having this part, but this other situation of my relationship, of everything I have going on, compensates that. Like I feel everybody in any type of married relationship, we always have doubts. There's not always a perfect situation when we're always happy. Even when you have your pal that you go with the movies every time, there's a moment in which you get tired doing the same thing with your partner or your husband or your wife. Like I'm not gonna tell you that I'm always happy about it, but I feel that in a certain way I have a normal relationship which is a normal. I don't know if it makes sense. So I was aware of what I was giving up, but also was aware of what I was getting out of it, which in that moment makes sense. In this moment, I still make sense. That's as I said, I'm not gonna lie to you. It's not like it's 100% happiness every time, like any other type of relationships.
Right.
There you go.
Yep.
I knew you got asked that one a lot.
Yeah, and I don't mind. You can ask me anytime.
We talked about that earlier too, though. Babe, it's like me and you. I told her how you're in Canada and I'm in the States. I can't just go to the movie with you whenever I want.
That's true. Yeah, it is kind of similar.
You know.
Some way.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like.
Yeah. Well, what matters, the bottom point is it is your life and you're happy with what you're doing.
Yeah.
And that's all that should matter. And people shouldn't be judging. Did we lose Sylvia?
No, I'm here. I'm here.
Oh, there you go. And there. Oh, they're talking. So, Cecelia doesn't actually know anything about the Watts case. Cecelia, since it's coming up, I'll just tell you. I should have told you earlier when we were talking.
It always comes up.
Oh yeah.
Give me a second here. Okay. Chris Watt killed his pregnant wife and 2 toddler children. He's in prison for 5 life sentences, but there's like a whole lot to the story where he had like a mistress who could have been there the night or whatever, and so yeah, he's in prison for murdering his whole family right now. And there's people that say either he's innocent of certain charges, he shouldn't be the only one in prison, or it's just not proper justice being served on the case. The case is over 2 years old and people just can't give it up. Including myself, unfortunately.
Well, and I think they also recently had so many new things happening with the Watts case, from NK doing her name change to Chris Watts 35C. It just seems like right after the Netflix special, everything got, everybody got drawn back in or drawn in to begin with. There seemed to be so many new people interested in the case. Even my daughter was, everybody has Netflix. My 19-year-old daughter was telling me about it, asking me if I'd heard about it. And I just kind of laughed like, yeah. I told her to go on YouTube. I'm like, there are so many things because they showed such a small amount of, what we have all seen on that, the Netflix special. And, people saying just crazy stuff about the ghost and the girls' playroom, because they didn't show NA's daughter being there when the cops showed up on the body cam footage. So just so many things. I'm sure you have all seen it also.
Cecelia has not seen it. She's probably glad. Be glad.
But
Yeah,
I don't. On my defense, I don't have Netflix. So it's not.
I like that defense.
Well, I'll tell you that the Chris Watts case is a rabbit hole.
It is.
Just don't.
Yeah,
exactly.
She's too busy with all the stuff with Taylor and stuff.
Yeah. Exactly.
Actually, Cecelia, you said something about you think that even some serial killers deserve empathy. So say he did kill his pregnant wife and his 4 and 5 and 3-year-old daughters, which people say he did not kill his kids. You still, his whole family is getting hell for still supporting him and loving him and fighting for proper justice. Do you still think he would deserve empathy from people?
He deserves a mental evaluation and be put into a mental institution. And if he cannot be fixed because there's no medicine to fix him, he deserves to have a decent life in a mental institution where he can actually do something meaningful with his life. That's what he deserves. I don't want to tell you, for me, prison reform doesn't mean that everybody should be out. It should be everybody has a decent way of living, whatever that means, not just a warehouse where and another thing is this guy is being put in a prison with a lot of folks that are not mentally ill. That is also dangerous, right? You should not be mixing serial killers with folks that what they were
It
doing
is
some marijuana work. Exactly. So it's not my point is not oh, poor little kid. No, he's not a kid. He's an adult and he probably has a mental illness. So he should be having the proper care. That's a care. He needs to be in a hospital, not in prison. That's my point. I know I haven't watched that day.
Yeah. That's why people should be getting mental evaluations right away before just getting sentenced. They should actually, they should have mental evaluations before their sentencing, don't you think?
But the thing here is, don't get me wrong, even here in Washington, if you have a mental evaluation, then suddenly you get less years. No, it's not about getting less years. Being mentally ill doesn't automatically mean that you it's gonna serve less time, means that you will get proper care, and then after a certain time, you are no longer a threat to society, and you can get out, stay sane, then you can get out. But if you cannot get out, stay sane, and you're gonna still have that illness, you should stay in that mental institution, because the mental ill people are the most dangerous people in society. Right?
Yeah, that's true. Cecelia, you got a question there. Did you know your husband before he was incarcerated?
No, I met him when he was already uh, down, that's what they call it, for 10 years. So I met him 5 years ago, 2015.
My friend said she would much rather watch a documentary on your story than the what?
Well, you
Yep.
can contact me. You can find me on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter as Wife of a Lifer, and we can definitely chat. I would love to talk about my story. Mhm.
Yeah, it's really cool. I watched a couple of your episodes, Cecelia, and you interview other people who have loved ones in prison.
Yeah. So yes, I would love to interview you, Sylvia, or anybody.
Yes.
It's about the thing here. My idea is like you is try to have these conversations into a point where people realize that what we're talking about is not radical. It's different, yes, Mr. Chair. It's different, but doesn't mean it's radical. We're just looking at them as people, human beings.
Human beings, exactly.
Well, right, and unfortunately, I just can't really elaborate on my brother's case, or I would share more. More than just what it's like to have somebody that you love incarcerated. So yeah, that kind of makes it tough.
Yes.
Well, it's good that you're talking about it a little bit, but yeah, we all understand that, there's going to be things that you guys can't discuss and talk about, and we have, we understand that.
Mm-hmm. So there's a question. So if I have sought assistance for organizations, sadly, the Innocent Project, they have a lot of requisites that you had to meet in order to hear you. Taylor already tried to reach out to them a long time ago, but they didn't accept his case for some reason. I don't know. So right now, thankfully, we have some very strong arguments that we hope will have some kind of success. After if we get rejected, then I guess we will keep looking into other alternatives. That's my answer.
Are you able to reapply for the Innocence Project, or is it just you get one chance and they either accept you or deny you?
I don't know. He did that before I actually met him, so I don't know. I guess that will be an avenue that I would like to explore if whatever we're doing doesn't work.
So, Cecelia, I know because I've been involved in a couple, like the Texas and New York Innocence Project. I've been in touch with people, and they only take so many cases per year.
Mm-hmm.
And so if it was that they were just to their limit and they couldn't accept them because they had their quota already for cases, you can reapply, I believe. I can't remember if it's every year or every 2 years, but as long as he was not denied because they thought that he was guilty in any way, you can reapply.
Okay. Well, I will have to ask him. I don't know exactly what happened. It happened before I met him.
If I had to guess, because they had actually took a look at Rhonda's twice, I would actually tell him to reapply, because I would guess that it was that they were full on their cases. I want to say it's 13 cases a year, I believe. It's a very little number, but yeah, even with the Innocence Project, it takes forever.
Yeah. We need more organizations, or like the Innocent Project. Sadly, is like 13 cases per year is not enough. Like,
no,
it's not enough.
Really not.
It's not.
But they put their all into it all day, every day, and to really help these people. And yeah, even with the Innocence Project, I know it took one guy in Texas 7 years with the Innocence Project involved to get out and have everything changed around for him.
And the thing here, that's the sad part, and it's not because the Innocent Project is not doing their job. It's because like we have so many innocent and wrongly convicted people that is just ridiculous. How I really don't understand why they're still incarcerated. I really don't understand.
That's what I was going to say, is just the mere fact that there is an innocence project and things like that. It should signify that the whole trial process needs to be evaluated.
Yeah.
Like, instead of trying to get innocent people out of prison after the fact, they need to start looking at how they got convicted in the first place. I think that's where the problem really is.
But
Yeah.
then they don't get money then, babe. If they don't, like, people are getting money when people are incarcerated. There's money going around. So
Oh,
if they're
yeah.
not convicted, then people are losing a lot of money. That's why there's mass incarceration.
Yeah. They need to find another way so they can make money. Replace the money from the person.
Right.
Hey, get this for you. You can make money. I just kidding.
Dana says, is your husband eligible for parole someday? And no, he's not eligible for parole because he's in Washington State, and Washington does not have parole.
The only thing that's an alternative for parole is what is called clemency. Where clemency is like almost like a miracle if it happens. Like you have to be an
Yeah.
extraordinary case where there's a lot of support. And even if you get approved for clemency, if the governor in time doesn't want to take the risk to release somebody that has a high crime, like my husband, that he got convicted of a murder, even if everything looks just fine, the governor could just not sign it, and it doesn't matter. He will not get it. So it's like it's too big steps to happen. That is why it's difficult to get into, almost impossible. Mhm.
Cecelia, is there a chance that he could be transferred to another prison, or is he's staying at the prison that he's at?
Right now, actually, I'm happy where he's at because I actually moved close to him, so I don't want him to get moved.
Yeah.
But actually, talking about before, like he used to be in this prison that was like really far away from the city, and it's very difficult to get people transferred. So thankfully, we got like the grandfather to write later with the doctor and things like that. So we were able to move him to a prison that is a little bit less drama, like there's less issues, less lockdowns,
Yes.
and he actually has Wi-Fi. So before I was just like you, he would just disappear from me, and I
Yeah.
wouldn't hear from him. But now in the places he's right now, thankfully things are one more stable and there's less stuff going on. So I don't want him to be moved.
Well,
It's
good.
just like that. Yeah.
Right. That's another thing people don't realize too. And Watts was moved. These family members, like Sylvia and Cecelia said, that they get moved and you don't get notice. All of a sudden, you're going to get a call one day that your loved one was moved, and either you're driving hours just to do your visits, or you are packing up your shit, depending on your bond, to move closer to whatever prison that they get switched to. Again, they
Yeah.
don't keep in mind that there's family members that need this connection to the inmate.
Yes, because
Yeah.
that's not a priority for them. They're just a number, so they don't care really.
Right.
You're right. And they'll transfer them also. They don't want them to get used to the rules and the way the prisons work, so they'll transfer them for that reason. They don't want them to, start to conspire and to plan things. So they'll move them kind of regularly. I know here in Florida, my brother's been to, this is the third prison he's in, and like Cecelia said, some of them are better than others, which I guess sounds kind of crazy, but once you get to know the different things that they have at different prisons, there are some that are more drama and they're scarier, and that's one of the worst things. I mean, feeling scared that something's going to happen, and that's why, yeah, I never thought we would be in this situation, but you worry about your brother, your husband, your sister, whoever is in prison, that something's going to happen to them because they just don't call you sometimes, and it could be for different reasons.
Yeah. Yeah, I have been there, done that, Sylvia. I know it can end up being really nerve-wracking. Like really, really is. I cannot even describe how stressful it is. It's No.
Yeah, it's
Nothing.
terrible. It's terrible to see my mother going through that. Yeah, it is. It's very nerve-wracking to say the least.
And then you call and say, hey, is my husband or my brother or whatever, he's doing good. We cannot give you information.
Yeah, they don't care. They
Right.
absolutely they don't care.
No.
Which state makes the prisoner pay for being in jail and no government funding and low crime because of it?
I haven't
Can't
heard for
remember.
that.
There you go, Cecelia and Sylvia. How often are you permitted to visit your husband and your brother?
I know here they allow you to visit every other week. You have to be on a list, and then it has to be, I guess, kind of like by an appointment basis. But you can visit every other week. Where my brother is incarcerated is about 2.5 hours from where I live. So yeah, you can hang out there all day and just kind of make a day out of it, which is nice. But yeah, that's how they do it here. I don't know how often, Cecelia, how often are you able to visit your husband?
I can, well, before COVID-19, because right now I cannot visit him.
Yes, correct. Before
Right now,
COVID-19.
I haven't been able to visit him in person since March 13, so it has been a while. But before, I used to be able to visit him every week. I could go Fridays and Mondays, and every other Saturday or Sunday. It will rotate, and they will open the visiting room at 11. I will be open from 11 to 8 p.m. So I could actually spend all day with him there,
Yes.
playing games like cards, just talking about stuff,
Yeah.
just being silly.
Which is nice. And I know they have like different food and stuff they can eat when you go to visit in like a large room, which is, I know that it's something that he looks forward to. It's funny how the little things you look forward to,
Yeah.
you incarcerated.
Yeah, I know. Little thing.
I've had prisoners tell me they were excited over pudding cups, so yeah.
They get excited about anything that is new in the vending machine. Oh, they have a new
Yeah.
cookie. Let's go and buy the cookie. And then you go there, and everybody's fighting for the new cookie style cookie. Yeah.
What do you ladies think about Mark's comment here of prisons can't be that bad because most go back within 2 years? If it was horrible, they would do anything to not return. But that brings us back to there's no real good programs to rehabilitate these inmates. That's why a lot of them, you don't see them doing like Cecilia's husband is doing, where he's doing everything he can to make a difference and to better himself. Even though he's got a life sentence, he is trying to rehabilitate himself in there.
Yes. And I would add, it's not only that they don't have the programs, but also whenever they get out, some of them, they really don't know how to have relationships, healthy relationship with their support system, because they have been in this environment where they have been traumatized in certain ways. And also, adding into that, nobody wants to hire them. Like, they get fewer job opportunities, which so it's just difficult for people to get out and actually be successful.
Oh, very. And a lot of you couldn't really understand this, but I can to a degree. Like when I was in the Navy, we spent 8 months away, and pretty much all that time was on a ship. So when I got home, like even in just 8 months, my life was so different. My routine and everything was so different. After that 8 months, for about a week, I was really weird. Like I had a lot of time, like even just being able to walk more than 100 feet without having to like duck under something or step over something. Like it was very weird. So if you were in that space for 10 years, like you would have a lot of problems just getting used to how to move around.
Exactly.
Like just something as simple as that.
Yes.
It's like you're dropped into a different planet and you have to learn how to live all over again.
Yes, and it doesn't mean that it's impossible, because Mark, you're right, there's people that get out and they're successful now. So no, some of them do it at the first time, some of them they do it the second time, some of them like after the fourth or third time, but fifth time. So people can actually do it, but it's not easy, and it's not like people just get out and they have all the tools to do it. They have to actually fight for it against a lot of odds, like a lot of obstacles. It's not easy, and I tell you not because I have experience on that, but I know a lot of folks who have shared their experience with me, and of course they regret that they weren't able to do it the first time, but also they are aware that it's because they didn't have it easy, and it's just very complicated. I don't know, and just
Yeah, I mean, I know some people who I don't know if I'd call them like a lifetime criminal, but people that I went to school with, that they would go to jail and then they would get out and they would go back to jail and they would keep getting in trouble and going back. It was almost like, I don't want to say they liked it, but they got into this, it was just like so normal for them, where they would end up getting longer sentences over and over again. And I'm not sure, I don't know what's gone wrong for them to keep going back, if it's something wrong with them maybe needing help that they're not getting. I know that my brother got mentally evaluated once he excuse me, once he got his sentence and went to prison. Then they mentally evaluated him, and they do offer like he can talk to a therapist and get help, and it doesn't lessen their sentence, but I know that that it helps him, but we still have to pay for it. So it's not provided from them. I don't know if it's partially, but it's very expensive, and we've paid for him to get the help that we think he needs.
And then in those cases when and I know because I have a friend who, her ex-husband, he has a mental illness. So the ex-husband goes back and forth from prison to the street from the street to the prison. And she told me it's because once he gets out in parole, and he has to, in order to stay in parole, he has to be in this program that's going to help him to stay sane. But it's so expensive that he cannot afford it. So because he cannot afford it, he stopped going to the program, and then suddenly he ends up being out of parole, like violating the parole, and also even sometimes even doing the same thing again. And it's just they're just setting the her husband for fail, because like he can definitely not afford that program. He cannot stay out of prison, so he just goes back. So, and then she wondered, like, if they're gonna do that to him. I don't know why they're letting him out, because letting him out without him being able to go to the program, they're basically letting somebody that is a danger to society.
Yes, yeah, and I see Megan J's comment here that's highlighted. It's true. It seems like, I know the people that I know, it was for really petty crimes that they would keep going back for. It wasn't anything like major, but yeah, it seems like they got like into this pattern of doing the same thing over and over again.
Yeah.
So almost like military, where they're just so used to it.
CW would have made a good soldier.
He seems like somebody who needs to be instructed on what to do and told what to do. I was listening to something today, and I know everybody always says, why are we so interested in this case? And I think it's everybody's trying to figure him out. They refer to him as an anomaly. I don't know. He just, it was very unexpected from the people that knew him, for him to do what he did. It's crazy anyways for anybody to do that, but I guess they really did not expect him, out of all people, to do such a horrible crime. That's a whole nother can of worms.
Megan J, you'll remember Donald best. Did your brother or your husband ever have to be put in solitary confinement at all?
My brother did not have to. No, he's in general population. I saw Megan J had asked that earlier. But yeah, he's never had to be put in solitary confinement.
Okay.
I think Taylor did on his first years. So I haven't asked him about it because there's certain things that if he doesn't want to talk about it, I don't ask. I'm sure there's no really nice memory.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So you're like me, Cecelia. When I write prisoners, I actually, the first thing I tell them is, I'm writing you to just to write to you. You can talk to me as a friend, and you don't have to mention anything about the case if you don't want to.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I think he's so used to people asking him, but I didn't write him because I wanted to know all the details of his life or whatever. I just wanted to be there for him. So
Right.
there are things he doesn't want to talk about, I don't talk about.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
And I want to ask you something personal, and you don't have to answer it. But do
Okay.
you worry that he is talking to a bunch of other females?
No. I mean, it's like, I think in any type of relationship, even when you're out, you always have like, there's moments when you feel a little bit like insecure, like the wife that look into the husband's cell phone because, whatever. But
Mm-hmm.
I trust him at the moment. I feel it's both ways because he could be doing it and that could me we're doing it he too, right? Like he doesn't know what I do out here. Everything that he knows that I
Right.
do, I tell him. I could be definitely living with somebody right now here, have a bunch of kids, and he wouldn't know that because he's not here seeing it. So I vow to be honest with him, and I also vow to trust him. I want to tell you that I always trustful because it will be dummy or against my nature to be 100% into that. I'm kind of person that if I start having questions, I ask questions, but I trust him because in the end I decide to marry him. I decide to trust him, so I don't think he's doing it. And I think it would be stupid for him to do it. Like any type of marriage, when you have a wife or a husband, I think he's smart enough to realize that it's not a good idea.
Not a good idea. He'll lose something good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
does that make sense?
Yeah,
Hmm.
perfect sense. Hey, Paula, and I saw Gypsy, Anita. Sorry, I'm not saying really hi to anyone. Do you guys have more questions for these ladies? Do you have more questions, babe?
I don't think so. I learned a lot more than I even thought to ask. So
Yeah,
I
thank
think
you
all
so
my
much,
questions got touched on.
Cecelia. Yeah, I definitely learned a lot. It's a very different situation that you are in than I am in for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, thank you so much for sharing and for everything that you do. You have a big heart.
Mhm.
Definitely.
So yes,
Yeah.
I know. As I say, I decided this life. I was aware where I was getting to. So I really, my heart goes to their families, the family of the incarcerated, because they weren't ready. They just have to accept it. So you have to accept your
Mm-hmm.
reality. So yeah, and that's how I feel is most of the time. Whenever it's a loved one, or I couldn't imagine me married to Taylor, that he having him with me, and suddenly he got into prison. I don't think I could survive that. Definitely not, because it's just they're basically taking you something away from you, as you mentioned before. Like they're basically burying him alive. Like they want you to forget about him.
Mm-hmm.
So I have big respect for the loved ones of the incarcerated that are stick with them, support them in despite the situation. And I really ask you to keep doing that because having you in their lives makes a big difference. Like
Mm-hmm.
it makes a big difference. Like they're humans, you give them hope, you give them that human touch they need that. And I think the incarcerated individuals who actually have the support system in place who have better chances to get out that to the ones that are forgotten. So they really need you, and I will ask you, please keep doing what you're doing, Sylvia. Your brother really needs you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I know
thank
it's difficult, but he really needs you, so don't let him down.
yeah.
He let you down, I know, but you're better than him. I know that you can be there for him.
Thank you. You're very sweet. And yeah, it's hard, because yeah, it's like you're so angry at somebody and you love them so much at the same time. But yeah, like you said, you have to be there for him and to, be strong for my mom. She's had such a hard time with this. Shortly after losing my father to cancer, my brother got incarcerated, and I think it was all connected. I know that I feel like he dealt with things in a very negative way. He's never been arrested. It was very, yeah, I guess we're still shocked. That's all I could say was I was very shocked. And yeah, it's just been really hard. But thank you, Cecelia. You're very kind, and that's all we can do is continue to be there for them. I know he has, I guess, friends in prison that they don't have anybody there. They don't have family.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have friends. They're literally forgotten, and it makes
That
me
does
sad
make me sad to think
because,
about too.
yeah, I mean, they're human beings, and just because they made a terrible decision or they did something bad, I'm a very forgiving person. I always have been. And yeah, they're human beings at the end of the day, and I feel like everybody needs somebody there for them. And it makes me sad that some people they don't have anybody.
Exactly.
Cecelia, somebody asked if you get conjugal visits with your husband. We got some pervs in here.
We all wondered that.
Yeah.
Yes, I get that. So here in Washington State, they just changed the rules before COVID. So I'm a little bit upset because I had to wait 3 years. Now in Washington State, if you marry somebody in prison, you have to wait one. But when I got married, it was 3 years. So after 3 years, you can apply to get the extended family visits. So I have been married to my husband almost 5. It took us almost 2 years and a half to get our first visit. So we got 5 conjugal visits before COVID-19. Actually, we had one scheduled for April 20 something, and it got canceled due to COVID.
Oh man!
But you know what? The funny thing is, I got my last conjugal visit. I say March 5, and then March 13 no visit. So I got the last one just in time. So.
Well, good for you. That's great.
So 5 weekends. So yes, it is worth it. It felt surreal. Like really, like I could actually hug him, and nobody was telling me anything about it. Yes, I got that. Spent time with him. So yes.
Okay, now you have to tell us more exactly how it works. How much time do you get? What's allowed? What's not allowed?
So, okay. Thank you, popcorn. So it's just.
I got my rum.
It's basically in that it depends on the person. It's supposed to be 48 hours, but because they have this cleaning schedule or whatever, it's actually like 40, probably a 40 something. So it's almost 2 days. So I get in there at 3 p.m. and let's say Monday, and I get out Wednesday 11 a.m. And so I can to spend 2 nights with him to actually sleep in a little trailer house or whatever. So we have a kitchen. We have an entire house for us. The only difference in the backyard is basically the prison barriers, so you can see the beautiful scenes or whatever. And we have TV, no cable TV, normal TV, no DVR or anything, no internet, no phone. So whenever I got there, I feel it's really weird and surreal because I don't have my cell phone with me. So normally when you're watching a TV show and you have a question, you get your cell phone and you search about, I want to know about this thing. So I see myself, where's my cell phone? I don't have a cell phone. It's totally disconnected, but it's quite refreshing because it's like spending a weekend with him where we get to spend time together and to do all the things that I wish I were able to do every day, but so yes, it's quite, and of course I can bring food. We cook food, as I say, TV, no phone, 2 days, 3 times a day they go and check on him, like to make sure that he's still there. Other than that, it's us.
That kind of makes me question then why someone like him that's doing everything right in there, even though he doesn't have to, and it's actually much easier not to, right?
Yeah. Yes,
And
it will be easier for him not to. Yeah.
they're actually giving you 48 hours with him in your own like little trailer house, but yeah, you're in the prison yard. But okay, why couldn't they just like let him out maybe with an ankle monitor or something, or still check on him, like, because they're still then trusting him enough that he won't harm you?
Honestly, I feel that it's not because they are aware that he's not a danger to me or society. It's just because in some way the prosecutors and everybody related with the criminal justice system wants to stick with the final sentencing. I remember like last year they were pushing a new bill here in Washington State that would allow people after 15 years to get parole, or 20 has to do with a murder, to get a possibility of parole. And the prosecutors worldwide, we want true sentencing. What does that mean? If I say that you're going to spend 40 years, you have to spend for a year. It doesn't matter who you are after 5, 10, 11, 20, or 40 years. They want to stick with what they say because they want the peace of mind of the victim. And then is when we talk about the other side of the coin. Whenever most of the advocates of prison reform, they was talking about the inmates. Oh, these people are doing positive, whatever. Nobody really talks about the victims. What are we doing for our victims? Our victims right now, they live in a society in which the relief they get is to see the person being punished for the crime. That punishment is not taking it back. So the fact that they are putting my husband to serve life in prison is not bringing the victim back to life. But for some reason, in a weird way, that's the relief they give to the victims. So it's the sense that victims deserve to see that the perpetrator of the crime actually get punished for the amount of time they say he will get punished. I'm sure that they're aware that my husband is no longer a threat to society, but they just feel that they have to do it because that's what he got.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Like they don't want to be like seen being wrong, basically.
Yeah, it's not ground, and I feel that if we really want to make changes to this criminal justice and prison reform, we also have to start thinking about how we're going to change the mindset of we are not talking about punishment, we're talking about rehabilitation and the victims. We need to heal our victims. Like I'm sure that if somebody killed my brother, I will be really pissed and probably hating the person. So I guess it will be proper for for me to be able to get into a program that will allow me to heal and to forget and not forget to forgive, like to try to find another way of feeling better about it.
Yeah,
To
try
realize
to
that
find
nobody.
some peace
Yeah,
with
exactly.
it. Yeah. And thank you, Megan Jade. I saw your comment come up. I can't see all the chat, but I can see the highlighted comments across the screen. So thank you.
Yeah, I haven't seen any haters in the chat.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, right. That's good. I am learning lots.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah. Yes, my husband, he's not a treat to me or anything, of course. I will, no.
Yeah, I'm glad that you're able to have those visits with him. I know when my brother was first incarcerated, we were only allowed to do like a phone visit. So it's like a big room, and then it's a screen, and then you're on a phone, like an old school phone, and that's how we would communicate with him, which was really cool, just to see him in general, but it's definitely better to be able to see them in person.
Yeah, definitely.
Cecelia, is that a question that you want to answer? Or
yeah, I had thought about it. But of course, right now I can, even if I wanted because of COVID. And I feel like it's when I marry my husband, I see the pros of the cons. And so far, because of my work and all the things that I'm doing, the answer has been no. And I think I'm getting old, so I don't see that happening. But I won't. So probably I won't have kids. I have considered about that, but decide not to. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Is that something that you took into consideration when you married him, before marrying him? That you may not get that?
So to be honest, before marrying him, I didn't want to. After
Okay.
marrying him, I guess maybe the age or whatever were moments. I thought about it, and then COVID came. So I say, well, maybe it's not up to me. Maybe it's not gonna happen. So I think whatever happens, yes or no, just positive or negative or whatever. So, but definitely when I was thinking about having kids with Taylor, I always, of course, thought about the possibility of me having a kid and having the father in person, and of course, I didn't like that.
Yeah.
It's something that I wouldn't wish anybody. Doesn't mean that I wouldn't do it if it happened, but it's definitely something that makes you think about it. Like, I don't know if I want that.
Yeah, well, it's definitely hard. My brother has two sons actually, and I know that it's been really hard for them. I'm very close with my sister-in-law, and I just try to be there for the boys as much as I can. But that's something that has been, I mean, truly heartbreaking for my nephews to lose their father,
Yeah.
and they can't. Yeah, it's been really, really hard for them.
Okay. No, I'm
Yeah.
not Cuban. I'm from Mexico. From Mexico.
Mexico, viva
Sí.
Mexico.
Everyone just say hi.
Yeah, I think COVID.
I was
I mean, I think
hoping.
everything's starting to get back to normal here in Florida, anyways. Well, a little bit. It's been definitely been a crazy year, right?
2020. Can we please
2020.
erase it from the calendar? Is it ever?
I wish.
I know we need a mulligan. Looking forward to 2021 for sure.
Yeah.
Some people keep saying it's getting better for them, and I feel like it's amping back up in Minnesota.
They say with the flu season coming up that it's going to start getting worse. And my mom said that at Sam's Club, everybody was buying the toilet paper again. So, when the toilet paper starts to become scarce, shit's getting real, right? Literally.
Yeah, I never understood that. It's like, okay,
Buy all the
so
toilet
you
paper.
can't be in large groups. That means you're gonna poop 4 or 5 times as much. Like,
Apparently.
what are people just like? What are they doing with all this toilet paper? I have no idea. I bought a pack. It lasts me 6 months.
Yeah. I have like an
I don't know.
army of children here at my house. So we go through toilet paper fast anyways. And then
Yeah.
when COVID hit, it's like, we need it just normally. Yeah, and everybody's buying all the toilet paper. It was insane.
My kids thought I was nuts when I would stock up on it. I'm like, what are you talking about? We're in a pandemic. We need toilet paper and sanitizer.
Sanitizer, I can understand.
So
What's your
I am from Monterrey, so next to Coahuila. Are you from Saltillo?
We had an exchange student from Monterrey.
Well,
when I
big
was
city
in school.
Monterrey. Big city Monterrey. Have you been in Texas? It's quite similar, the weather and everything. Yeah, Monterrey.
That's cool. I've never been to Mexico. My parents are from Ecuador, though, from Guayaquil and Vinces.
Never been in Ecuador.
Yeah, I haven't been either. I wanted to go, but then, yeah, COVID. I had a baby, and I didn't want to take her there. Not yet, anyway. She's almost 2. She'll be 2 in a couple weeks. So we'll probably go eventually.
And they open the borders.
Yeah.
Maybe
when
next
they open
year.
the borders.
Yeah, hopefully they open the borders soon.
Yes, I
Lift all
wanted.
restrictions.
I wanted to bring my mother because I want Mexican food. I really, I really want Mexican food.
Like authentic Mexican food.
Yeah, exactly. No Taco Bell kind of deal, but
Oh, yeah.
Mexican food.
My
That's-
sister, for my birthday every year, would make me authentic Mexican food. I always had to have my guacamole on my birthday from her too, but she'd just cook up a storm.
Oh, guacamole.
I
I
miss
love
that a little bit.
it.
We got Wisconsin.
Mm. Well, it depends on where you're getting your info, though, because I'm seeing a lot of stuff that is wrong. I remember seeing this whole thing floating around Instagram about how Sturgis just launched in, basically made the pandemic another pandemic just all by itself. There were like 20 cases from Sturgis, but people thought it was hundreds of thousands of people were infected, and it was just ridiculous. 20.
Yeah.
Like more people died of other health problems at Sturgis than from COVID. This isn't a pandemic. You're going to be fine. Nobody needs to worry about this stuff.
Maybe you're right.
Yeah, I know at first I freaked out when it first started in March. I mean, total panic mode. And then,
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And then I kind of found a happy medium. And now I'm just ready for things to get back to normal. And I understand it, we need to be cautious and be careful. But I feel like, in my opinion, it's been a little bit exaggerated, I guess you could say. Because I know a lot of the causes of death have been, mainly for other things. And then COVID's kind of a secondary for pre-existing conditions.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I don't know
Well,
if you guys want to get into all
politicians
of
have
that.
actually admitted that. They've admitted to inflating the numbers. And doctors
Yes,
who refuse to have been
it's an
fired.
election year.
Like I don't think it's really. Well, I hope it's about the election. And once it's over, it goes away. But I mean, it's not just in the States. So
That's true. That's true.
Like, I heard like France and like Europe in general they were closing again because of all
yes,
these
a
cases.
pandemic. I love it.
I think was it Switzerland? I think it's Switzerland. They did not do any restrictions, and they have no cases.
What?
Yeah. That's interesting. But yeah, I definitely think it has been overinflated, to say the least.
More people are dying from the regular flu than COVID.
Yes. And my husband's a germaphobe anyway, so we have hand sanitizer for days.
Well, the one thing that really got me is if COVID is just so like brutal, and if you're within a quarter mile of somebody who has it, you're going to die. Why does the test they have to take that giant Q-tip and scrape your brain?
Yeah.
Why wouldn't they just be able to like dab it on your lips?
Yeah.
If it's that contagious.
No, it's true. So we're a blended family. When I married my husband, he had 3 children from his previous marriage. So I have children they're my stepchildren, but they're like grown. So one of them is 21, one is 19, and one is 15. He's my husband's youngest, and we have our almost 2-year-old. But my point is, my son Austin, his girlfriend had COVID, and she was here. She has dinner at our house and hangs out. So everybody freaked out. We all went and got tested, and none of us had it. So I don't think it's as contagious as people think. I'm not trying to downplay it, but this girl, she's literally at our house all the time, eating dinner with us, playing with my toddler, and yeah, she was the only one that had it, and none of us got it.
Yeah. I know of a few people that had it, and they all got pretty sick. Like it's a pretty bad flu, but they're all fine.
Yeah, she was asymptomatic when she had it, so she had got tested because she was around family members who had it, and only a couple of the people in that family got it. And luckily the elderly mom that lives with them, she did not get it, and then their little girl, the baby, didn't get it. but everybody else got it. But they seem to be okay. The only one that had a big issue with it was the dad, and he did get admitted to the hospital for a couple days, but he's fine now. So I've known a lot of people who've gotten it, but luckily they've all come out okay. But they did describe it just like a bad flu, the
Mm-hmm.
ones that did get it with the symptoms. So yeah, we're just being cautious. I mean, we always wash our hands anyways and try not to, be on top of people when we're in public. So I think a lot of it's just kind of common sense, but I don't know. I'm just ready for all of this to be over.
For me, the thing here is that we have been in lockdown since March 13, and I don't feel that in general we have any change. I feel they have wasted my time. Like we still have the same situation here. They still ask for this for the same thing. I don't see any type of solution. And if it's a fake thing, I'm gonna be repeat. I really don't know what to think. There's so many different type of news out there, different opinions. I don't know what's real and what's not real. But
That's
I'm
right,
really
man.
upset. But I'm like really, really upset because since March 13, I cannot see Taylor because of this. So the question is, when are we gonna know this for real? When it's safe to have a normal life or not, right? And being able to see
Mm-hmm.
your loved ones. Like, no, I don't know.
Hey, Mama Bear. Yeah, I was hoping that while learning your story, I know I reached out to you, I think it was like over the spring, I had met you on Twitter. I can't remember if you are friends. Did I meet you through Charles Wilcox? Or I just found you on Twitter?
Just kidding me?
Yeah. Do you
I
know Charles
contact
Wilcox?
you on Twitter. I say, hey, I love your show. I saw your YouTube and I contact you. And we love Sylvia.
Oh my gosh. Well, I think people learned a little bit, but I still think we have more to talk about with like the mass incarceration stuff.
Hmm.
I don't know. I really want people to see too. Everyone involved in the SWAT's case has been just so ugly. Like both sides of the victim's family and then the family of the husband who's in prison. They're just like really mean to Chris Watts's mom and dad and sister. And actually, people have gone as far as saying that it's his mother's fault that he's a monster. Like the poor family just deals with so much backlash. I was hoping that I wanted people to also see the other side and the other, the family members are humans. They have feelings. They need the connection of these people too. And people shouldn't be bullied because they are supporting an inmate.
Yes, there are people, and as I say again, like I'm lucky. I wouldn't say lucky. I choose this life, so I knew Taylor. I met Taylor after the fact, and
Hmm.
he showed me that he was a good person. He was doing the right things. It's actually somebody that inspires me, and not only me, but a lot of different people. But I know I know, and I'm 100% sure that for the loved ones that just got somebody that they have in their life suddenly taken away a certain way from their lives because they make a mistake. And don't get me wrong, these people let their families down. It's like
Yeah.
their families are also victims of the crime. Even the families of the criminal are victims of the crime. I don't think it's fair that because some a loved one, either your brother, your mother, whoever, your friend, has a mental illness or something going on in their life and they made a bad choice. I don't think it's fair that people is gonna blame you for it.
Hmm.
No, like that's totally unacceptable. And I know for sure and for a fact that, for example, in Taylor's family, for them it was very difficult to get around the idea of Taylor saving life. It wasn't something easy for them to accept. It was something. Taylor's from a small town, so he did say that he's not a small town, but he's in a small town. Everybody knows everybody. in there. So it was something that it was basically the mother felt ashamed about that. His mother stopped going to the. She moved out the city for a long time because
Mm.
she didn't want to live there. And
Um,
she didn't want to live there. It was difficult for her to kind of accept the fact that what happened, and even that he's running convicted, well, like people really think that he actually did that thing, right? It doesn't matter if he's innocent or not.
right.
People like think that. So people should know that to their loved ones. It's already difficult for them to have to accept that situation, and then to add society to punish them too. That's totally unacceptable.
Mm-hmm. Charles Wilcox is another friend of mine. He's actually having his case expunged, and he did prison time for molesting his niece when she was a young girl. However, DNA had cleared him, but they had done a false confession. But the person who was molesting Charles's niece had I want to say it was like gonorrhea or something, some bizarre STD, and everyone was tested. Charles did not have the STD, but the other uncle did. And so the other uncle has actually passed away now, but Charles did the time, and because they had the false confession, even though people are saying he's innocent and DNA has cleared him, he cannot walk out his door to go buy milk without people, because he was all over the papers and everything. So like people know who he is, and he's afraid to even leave his house now to go buy milk, even though like
He's
DNA
innocent.
has cleared him and everything. But because he did prison time because of this, he's bullied every day of his life and is afraid to leave his house to just go to the store and do a simple thing.
And that's unacceptable.
Yeah.
If you serve, even if he has been found guilty, and even he did a crime, he served his time. Why? Like
Mm-hmm.
why? Like you already punished the person, right? The person already served their time, which in most of the cases is an exaggerated amount of years, like exaggerated amount of years, and like say 20 years for possession of a drug. Like this person already served 20 years for that. They go back to the society, and then people are scared. People don't hire them, and people look down to them. Like, what are we doing? Why? Like,
That I say it's people that have very weak minds. I don't even know if those people who judge like that actually have real empathy for others.
There's a lot of the whole high horse thing. But I could see too, like, would I hire someone who is convicted of stealing power tools to come and work for me? Probably not, even if he served his time.
why not?
Because I
Yeah, why?
have
I was
power
gonna.
tools.
But what if he learned his
So
lesson and he was the best worker you've ever had and he never stole anything?
I don't
Mm-hmm.
know. That's still my right not to have to be in that kind of a stressful situation where I'm worrying about something that I shouldn't have to worry about.
But you
He
never
could find
know.
another.
But you never know that maybe the person that doesn't have a record will do it because he has not gone through that punishment.
No, that's true, but like someone who has done it obviously has the potential to do it again.
So I can't remember the show. This has actually been tested, where they hired the felon. I can't remember what he was accused of. What the fuck was it? Obviously not stealing power tools. I will find actually that show and send it to you. But anyways, they had it set up with cameras and everything, and the person that was convicted on the felony did great. And you could get like anyone like me or anyone, you can go in there. Who knows, like you could steal or I could steal or anything.
Mm-hmm.
Who knows? You could have a great employee for 2 years and all of a sudden he's going through something in his life and he starts stealing or something like that. Like I've managed stores before and I've had a really great employee that I watched that he actually had to stay at home and take care of his family. And you can see him declining. He started doing little things like stealing a pop or stealing a sandwich or whatever. Kept getting more and more and more, but he would never have done that before.
Mm-hmm.
But because he had so much on his shoulders, like, I don't know. I can't blame people. Like, he had something going on, you know what I'm saying? But he was considered a thief.
I think it's depends on the person. Doesn't mean that all the felons you can trust in all of them, but doesn't mean that you can trust everybody that doesn't have records. I think it's depends on the person in general, and it's always a risk either with or without records. You never know. Once the opportunity is there, there's something that will make them make a decision. Like it is easy for them or not. What I know is my husband, for example, we have little things like events where we get to share, like we get to make this craft. And this craft, basically, we're gonna make this painting, and they give us different tools. What have seen about him, he's very respectful. I feel like me normally, I grab all the colors because I want to have all the colors. I want to have all the options. But he also actually respect that. He learned how to follow the rules like respect other people's priorities, properties, respect other people, chance to get the same thing. So I wouldn't tell you hire all felons. I will ask you to try to get a judgment independent of the records for how you feel about them, how you see them perform. And doesn't mean that you're gonna hire them and just live in your office with your money out. No, but it gives them the chance. Like
Because if
you were to hire me, would you leave me next? Would you leave all your money next to the desk? No, you wouldn't do that. Even though I don't have records, right? So I will say do the same thing. Maybe be a little bit more careful because again, not everybody has had the chance to rehabilitate. But I would say just try to make your judgment based on character instead of a record there that say that 20 years ago somebody stole something out of the cash or something. Does that make sense?
Yeah, well, exactly what he said and how he feels is how 99% of people feel, which is exactly why inmates go back to prison. It goes along with.
Well, that was a very
They
specific
don't
example, too. Like, I'm not saying anybody who comes out should be shunned. I'm saying that there's a reason people would be nervous because someone did. I have not stolen any power tools. I'm sure none of you have. But if someone actually did that, and there are people around here who do, and there are people who get caught and go to jail for it, when they come out, chances are they're going to go do it again.
There are people who do it that don't get caught of it too, right? So who has the best chance to do it? The one that got caught and had to serve 20 years, or the one that didn't got
Well,
caught
if they wouldn't
never?
serve 20 years for it, it'd be a couple of months. But yeah.
It depends where you are and where you steal, but yes, it could be up to 20 years actually, because there's
and the
people
color
that are
of your skin.
yeah. There's I know people that are serving 20 years for robbery, so it depends what's about it. Without no violent crime or anything, okay? So I don't know. And I don't know. I won't say anything.
Right, Megan J. Said she's learned a lot tonight. It's very easy for people to take things for granted.
Yeah.
Including just the time you have with your loved one. Can you show us more artwork from Taylor and other inmates? You have artwork from other inmates over there too?
Yeah, I can show you what I have here.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'd like to see.
So this is one of my favorites. Can you see it? Taylor doesn't like it because he said the proportions are right, but I like it. That's another Taylor. It's an old one. Then we have this one, and then I like this one with Jesse Milo. Freedom.
He's really good.
I love Jesse Milo. Jesse Milo is also serving life without parole. He's from California. He's half Mexican, and in his letter he was talking about how he felt that his grandmother was telling him that he was a failure since he was a kid. This is from Brittany. She's from Tennessee. She's awesome. It's another of Taylor. This is Montana. He's a trail. And then we have this cloud. This from Paul, Montana. Then we have Dean. I love Dean. He's wonderful. He's from Arizona. And Jose Aguilar. And then more Dean. That's Ashley, Taylor. And then we have Jesse. And I cannot move my camera more, but basically, and it's just part of it. It's really, really cool.
Some really skilled artists there.
Yes, they are.
Yeah.
And I have everything. If you contact me on social media, I can send you the links where you can see them online. Actually, Brittany, that one is also Brittany, this lady. I love her. Like, she's awesome. I love her artwork. Don't tell Taylor, but I think I prefer her. And then I have more here. Can you see that? And as I say, contact me on social media and I can send you the link where you can see it online. But yeah, I love my office. As you can see, a lot of artwork.
Mm-hmm. I know that's one of my favorite things to get from the inmates is their artwork.
Yeah. I think... Okay, I'm right. Yes, there are some.
Everyone likes that artwork.
Thank you.
I think we're gonna cut it off for tonight, but definitely want to have you back on
Yeah.
talk more about mass incarceration because you do rallies and stuff for that also, right?
Yes, actually, back in January, we were in a rally, but sadly, then COVID-19 happened, and so no rallies. But yes, please, I have a lot of fun, so definitely open to come back. That would be really good.
Oh, Megan J, she said, did you mention something about your husband makes teddy bears?
Yes, he's part of the BO bear program. I don't know how to pronounce it. Sorry, that thing program. So yes, he helps with that too. Next time I can show you some of it. It's in my bedroom, which is
The Build-A-Bear program.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Sorry, thank you. English is a second language. Thank
No,
you.
I mean, okay, you guys, Cecelia actually taught herself English, and
Well, good job.
Thank you.
really great.
Thank you. I'm trying my best to improve myself every day.
So, oh, hey, CJ Gem. Yeah, the artwork is great, and we'll see the bears next time. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
We'll have to have more discussions.
Yeah, definitely.
I think what you do is great, and you actually work very hard. You're doing all of this for. Actually, I have another question.
Mm-hmm.
We talked about it earlier. If you guys check out her YouTube channel, you can actually. Her husband actually does call in, and you said he does call-ins like on. You were on Instagram earlier.
Yes. So
He
now,
does like live calls.
yeah. So we're trying to do. We just got our first live and a live for lifer. That's his Instagram. So we're trying to. We think we're gonna do every Saturday. I'm gonna have him on the phone and answer questions. So we actually have a really cool chat today, and we actually the full video is available in IGTV. So you want to go and check it out, and you can come every Saturday and ask questions. He's there to answer anything. Mr. Chair, you can go and ask whatever you want from Taylor. He's not shy at all, so whatever you want, have in your mind, he answers. You can ask anything. He's not gonna take it as offensive or anything. He's just gonna be upfront.
You're gonna make me make an Instagram, aren't you, girl?
Yes. 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 You definitely have to. So you can just go on there and the good thing also on Instagram is you can also join. You can also have conversation with other people. So please go ahead and join us on live. So he can answer any questions. Anything that I cannot answer, he can help. So that would be cool to have you.
I love that. I
Mhm.
think that's great what you guys are doing.
Yeah, we are about making awareness that we are normal people. I'm not unstable. Do I look unstable?
No,
Nope.
Okay, thank you,
no.
Mr. Chair.
I
Definitely
think
not.
that's Mr. Cher is always the voice of reason. I swear. You see why we needed him here.
Which is fine. When I decided to do this, I always thought about me before that and what I will say. So I get that people, it's difficult to understand. It will be difficult for me to understand if I weren't have gone through what I have gone through. Probably I will ask the same question, so I don't get offended. Hmm.
Yeah, I like we said earlier, but we weren't live yet, but you said that you don't well, first actually you had said in one of your videos that you never actually like sat down and asked yourself, even though you were into true crime and everything too before meeting Taylor. Like
Yeah.
that's kind of what led you to do that, right?
Mhm.
Same with me. But you didn't like stop and ask yourself like what is justice? What does justice mean?
Yes, you just watch something in the news or in the commentary on the movie. They say guilty, and that's all for you. You don't ask yourself what happened after that. That
Mm-hmm.
5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, that they don't actually make sense. Well, probably that penalty you will ask yourself if that makes sense or not. But other than that, you don't ask yourself how long is this person's gonna have to serve time, right? You don't. You really don't care until you know somebody and you actually get to understand the implications of that. When you ask yourself, does that actually make sense? Probably not. That's
Yeah.
my conclusion. Probably not. Like the sentencing guidelines and all these things that going on, unless you have a lot of money, you're gonna get screwed into a lot of years because somebody's making money out of you. That's how I feel.
Right. Exactly. And that goes in hand with the other thing you said that I really like too, which is you don't realize how fucked up it is, the so-called justice system, but everyone knows I don't like to call it that. I call it the establishment because that's what it is. But you
Yeah.
don't realize how broken it is until, like you said, you have a loved one that's in there, or Sylvia had her brother there.
Mm-hmm.
The Watts never knew until Chris went to prison. He had no other bad background, no arrests, no nothing, just went to prison for murder. So yeah, you don't realize how broken the system really is
Well,
until
I would say this as I read once, and I agree. It's not broken. It is set that way. It's not broken. It is set that way. Like it's
You're
working
right.
as designed, but it's designed incorrectly. Like it's not serving the purpose that should be serving. It's serving the purpose of somebody else, so they can get big in their pockets a lot of money. Like it's money. It's not
Money. Yep.
safety. It's not rehabilitation. It's not healing. It's just money going around from our hands that we pay taxes to the pockets of people that have dealing with the government. They have private industries that they're making money out of it. That's how I feel.
I feel exactly the same way.
Well, thank you.
Any more questions? No. All right, guys. Well, we're gonna end it, and we'll definitely have Cecelia back on here. Maybe we can get Taylor on sometime.
Yeah, he was asking me, can I be in the call? And say, Taylor, you
Oh
don't
my
get to be
God.
in the star this time. I know that you like
No,
to.
this one was for you. But I'd love to.
Yeah,
We can definitely
he's
arrange
definitely
something.
interested. I told him everything about you, and he really likes what you're doing. Like he really appreciates everything you're doing, because we need more people like you to be there. So as we need many voices to be talking about this, we need this to become the normal, not the radical thought. Like, and I'm not like we are more people that think alike that we actually realize. So he basically he say hi back, and he would love to talk to you too.
I love that. Okay, well, we will have to arrange that. I know Mr. Scher has his channel. We talked about it. He's more like in the biker world, but
Yeah.
he'd He'd probably like that too. I know Mama Kim from Unjustified too. She likes to share her platform too. So we'll definitely help you get your story out there and get Taylor's story out there.
For
I
sure.
think.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
All right, guys, we're gonna cut it off for tonight. But thanks for being respectful to the guest, Sylvia. You dropped out, but if you're listening, thanks for sharing what you could of your story with your brother tonight. And coming on my panel first, I love it.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.